Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And for the second movie that I'm reviewing tonight, yet another sword and sorcery movie. I kind of consider these to be like a trilogy of sort, although they aren't, because this one doesn't have any of the characters from the Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer films. But however, we do have Arnold, and Arnold is supposed to play Lord Carador, who is supposed to be Conan, although he's not mentioned as Conan in this movie. Odd. And it's got the same creators, the same people. If you didn't have Sandal Bergman returning from the first movie, why isn't he Conan in this movie? I don't know. Even the comic books uh, are by the same people. Anyway, Bridget Nielsen is Red Sonja. So let's look at the movie. 1985, 1 year after Conan the Destroyer came out, American epic sword and sorcery film called Red Sonja was directed by Richard Fleischer, written by Clive Exton and George MacDonald Fraser, based on the characters created by Robert E. Howard. Red Sonja of Robertino, who also inspired the comic book character of the same name. And the film introduces Bridget Nielsen as I think it's her very first film, as a title character, with Sandal Bergman playing the main villainess, Paul Smith, Ronald Lacey, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and this actor called Ernie Reyes Jr., who I'm trying to see the name. Oh yeah, he was he was in several things. That's why I remember his name very well. But he was very young in this movie. So yeah, this is the out of the three. This is the one I haven't actually watched till now. Although I think it was out on cable way back in the late 90s, I guess. But I don't remember watching I don't remember watching this film from beginning till end. I may have, but if I did, I don't remember it at all. So anyway, Bridget Nielsen. Yeah. So oddly enough, her first film was with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then she met Sylvester Stallone, and then they were married for a few years. All right. So Sonja is this beautiful red-haired maiden from a village, and she is surprisingly of a little bit of lesbianism. She caught the eye of the wicked queen Gedrin, who she wanted her for herself. She rejected her, her approach, and even scarred her on the face because she was being forced into something that she didn't want to. So in retaliation, the queen orders Sonja's entire family to be killed, her house and village demolished, and Sonja is raped by many of her soldiers and left for dead. Unfortunately, that's what happens to her. So she gets back because a red goddess called, I can't pronounce the name. I don't think it's actually mentioned in the movie. I just watched it in the afternoon. Skatak, how you pronounce. She appears to her, gives her strength, stamina, energy, and fighting skills. So she goes on to join this a sword master called the Grand Master, and she basically distrusts all men, and she respects him, but she doesn't trust anybody else. She becomes his best fighter, and she becomes a great warrior. Chooses a weapon that is she's destined to actually hold, a big sword. In the meantime, her sister, played by the actress Janet Agren, Vana, she is a priestess who, along with her fellow priestesses at a nearby temple, is a member of an order who are preparing to banish a mystical light-powered relic. Basically, it's like a caged green orb of glowing colors. Glowing green colors rather. It's supposed to be the talisman that created the world and all living things. Unfortunately, it's getting too powerful for them to handle, and it can only be touched by women. That is the other thing. Men will immediately vanish if they touch it. So it's become too powerful to control, so they plan to put it inside this chamber deep into the earth, and therefore, risk not having to risk anybody getting into it. However, Gedrin's soldiers come in, they attack. The priestess put up a good fight, however, they are all killed. Vana managed to escape. She is injured, but she managed to escape, and Lord Carador, the Lord of Hyrcania, where do they come up with these names? he finds her, rescues her from the two or three soldiers who go after her, and she asks him to go and get her sister, who is basically Red Sonja. So he goes to the Grandmaster's arena and asks for her and takes her to her sister. So she tells her to protect, um, the talisman from Gedren, sorry, and then dies off. So she decides she doesn't want Kalidor's help, even though he is obviously smitten by her and wants to be with her. She says, I don't need your help, I'm going to do it on my own. She goes on the way. She finds, which area? She finds this place called Havelock, which is ruled by this young prince, played by Ernie Reyes Jr. Prince Tan and his servant, bodyguard named Falcon, and the kingdom, Gedren had actually come to ask them to join her kingdom, but he refused, so she destroyed the kingdom. He wants to now rebuild it, and he basically insults Red Sonja and said, you can join my kingdom, my kingdom that I'm trying to rebuild and become a cook. And she says, sorry, I don't really want you and all that. Well, she finally reaches another place, and she has to defeat a Lord Brightag because he doesn't let her pass through until she offers him sexual favors. She kills him, but her troops surround her. Kalidor, who's been following her in secret, rescues her, and then they go over some sword practice and stuff. And she says, "I can only be with a man who can defeat me in sword fight." They actually fight, but they pretend fight, but it's a stalemate. In the meantime, they also catch up with Tan and Falcon, who are being tortured by bandits. They rescue them. She rescues them basically, and they decide to join forces with her. So now it's all four of them. They go to the palace. They beat off the guards, and there's a big fight between Sonja and Gedren, and finally she is killed and put. And by the way, the talisman is becoming way too powerful, and it breaks like a big crack in the ground, and underneath you can see lava flowing through. So Gedren is pushed into it after she is killed after she is fatally stabbed by her sword of Sonja, and then Sonja pushes the orb as well, the talisman as well, into it, so thereby making it safe for the rest of the people. However, the palace is getting destroyed and crumbling onto the ground. They manage to escape, and all of them come out safely, while Tam and Falcon go back to their hometown to try to rebuild Havelock. Sonja and Kalidor have a brief fight with the sword, but they start to kiss. Obviously, they both have feelings for each other. Thus ends the movie. Made on a budget of $17.9 million, it only made $6.9 million at the box office. And yeah, when you look at it, it's not as good, it's not as entertaining as the first Conan movie. In fact, it's not even as entertaining as Conan the Destroyer, but like I mentioned, I actually like Conan the Destroyer a lot more than I like Conan the Barbarian. And definitely that's my favorite of the three. This one is definitely the third best, and it is the least. But they did make a lot of these kind of movies in the 80s, didn't they? And possibly the late 70s as well. It's still good enough for a watch once in a while. So like I said, this is the first time that I'm actually watching the movie from beginning to end. I do know a little bit about the story, of course, because I have followed because I was a fan of Conan. I did follow a little bit about Bridget Nielsen's character as Red Sonja. But yeah, I will give this movie a reluctant 7 out of 10. I'm looking for actually 6.5, but that means I wouldn't watch this movie again. 7 is good enough for me to do multiple rewatches, so I guess I will give it a 7 out of 10. It's not that bad, but yeah, it's not a patch on the first two movies. So, but again, it's not supposed to be part of Conan, although it's set in the same kind of timeline and all those things, set in the same universe, if you want to call it. I hope somebody actually decides to reboot the series once again and make a few movies of that era, of those comic books rather, might be actually fun. So yeah. Oh, anybody else of no? That's basically it. So yeah, that's it. From I think all these movies were made somewhere in Italy or somewhere like that. A lot of European influence on these movies. So that's it for Red Sonja, and probably the only one of probably only three movies of Bridget Nielsen that I will ever review, I guess. So that's it for me. Have a good night, guys. Bye. See you on the next videos coming up next week. Bye bye.